So tonight I'm working on the dash, still trying to shore up the upper and lower plywood sections. Spliced some wood in a couple spots. I'm getting ready to glue some more in with some epoxy, and probably put a little fiberglass reinforcement on some of it. But anyways, I'll show you what's going on. So last night I dug out some rotted wood up here in the, I guess I'll call it the A-pillar. But Monaco's got this piece, had this piece of wood screwed in on top of some of this wood, and behind it's the aluminum frame that goes up just up on the leading edge of the window. So some of this wood back in here was rotted, so I dug it out and put a wedge of new wood in there, epoxied it all in. This aluminum tubing was cracked loose, so I dug out the TIG welder, and doesn't look very nice, but re-welded that back in place. So this is all solid now. I still have to go in and this outer fiberglass section split. It's delaminated somewhat, but we'll inject epoxy in there with a syringe, and then I got to get some new bigger self-tappers and run those through. I'll probably run them all the way through to this steel tube. But anyways, I still haven't fully attached this. All the screws were broke, so I've got some new screws to reattach that. But had a chunk of rotted wood here where one of the blocks that goes in between the two had attached. It was busted out, so got that cut out. I'm gonna cut a new piece of plywood to go in there, epoxy that all in, probably fiberglass it up. And last night I glued this piece of wood in where the where this vent attaches underneath. Leading edge here was cracked loose, so there's the gap where air comes up through, but got it epoxied together here and down here, and got the vinyl pulled up and away. And so I'm gonna take some fiberglass cloth and reinforce these joints with epoxy and fiberglass. And after that's all cured and sanded, I'll be able to reattach this vinyl. Looks kind of bad up here, but I think when the front end's put back on, I clean it all up. I don't think you'll even notice it. So anyways, that's what's going on. This piece of plywood cut, and see how she fits in here. That looks pretty good. Mix up some glue and glue it in, and clamp this aluminum skin up tight against it. I guess that's probably just some sort of like a firewall type protection deal. But anyways, that looks good. Okay, Saturday morning, glued up some of the broken dash components last night. I'm gonna go take some clamps off. Also made up a new couple little reinforcement pieces that were cracked and broke. So hopefully we'll get this dash buttoned up pretty soon. Might have it done this weekend as far as the dash all finally attached and back where it's supposed to be. So I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so this lower dash section is kind of makes like a firewall to the dash. It's got some aluminum sheeting on it. all the screws were broken loose where it mounted to this piece of angle iron coming off the firewall. So we've got all new screws installed in here. Instead of self-tappers, went with just flathead Phillips screws with lock nuts. So got that all attached. This is really firm now. It's not going anywhere. There's a little better lighting. You can see these screws that I added. And anyways, so last night I removed this piece. It was cracked, and it's a reinforcement for the upper to the lower dash, kind of where your feet go on the passenger side, that section. But made up a new piece out of some plywood laying around, and that thing attaches up with these screws down here and all the way down inside here. It's kind of hard to get to, but I got all the screws out. And then this block, mounting block up here, was split, so re-epoxied that, and all that should be dry now. So okay, I guess that's a wrap for the day. Got the dash all buttoned up. Got to head in the house, get cleaned up, and go to a wedding. So show you what I got done here. Okay, so got this lower dash piece all rigidly fashioned now with new screws. Got these filler blocks, standoffs that go in between the upper dash and this lower piece. Those are all refastened. I used basically deck screws. It's very rigid now. So got that done. Threw a coat of black paint covering all that just because nobody will ever see it, but looked pretty bad. Okay, so in the back there you can see my new plywood bracing plate is installed, and that's pretty much it for today. Doesn't look the greatest from the outside here, but when it's all put back together, I think it should be good, and it's good and solid now. So move on to the cleaning up the firewall and sealing that all up and screwing the sides back down. See ya.